Perfect. I think everyone, let me just double check. I think everyone got their picture. So let's get our colors ready. You can use any size of paper. So I'm gonna use the other half that we used last class. I'm just gonna use the bottom part. And make sure you have your clean water, brushes. And we're gonna start putting yellow and red. Let me show you. So yellow, red, blue,
and the white.
and white, yes. If you have green, have it on the side. If you have it, if you don't have it, we are going to mix it later. But if you have it, just keep it on the bottle. Don't put it on your palette yet because it's gonna dry out.
Oh, can I use this one? I couldn't find my watercolor. Are they the same or no?
Sorry, for the what? Sorry, what was your question?
My question is, can I use these? I pick it up from your house, those one, or I need watercolor?
Yeah, does it say? Sorry, I'm just having trouble.
Wait. Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Acrylic. Yes, acrylic is perfect.
Yeah,
yes.
it's acrylic.
Yes, I can use this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
No worries.
I'm just gonna translate a little bit in Chinese. 老师讲今天也是要用青色。如果你们没有青色不用紧，因为他会教你點樣襯襯兩個顏色變青色。OK， 如果冇青色唔緊要，陣間老師會教你點樣溝出嚟。
So let's put our colors that are yellow, and red and blue in our palette.
Blue color.
Yes.
藍色啊！
藍色係揾緊。
blue 藍色。
深藍色啊！
深藍嘅，
唔係淺藍。
唔緊要啊！你咩藍都得。
唔係啊！我哋同佢嗰個牌子唔同，我而家揾緊。
係啦。
係威
白色啊！
白色同埋 red 啊！
白色、黃色、藍色、紅色。
總之係紅藍黃白。
紅色，佢呢個我哋
紅色同我哋有少少唔同啊，
係啊，
有少少唔同，我哋得隻紅色啫嘛，咁咪啱咯。佢同你溝噶啦，佢會。
佢都唔係寫紅嘅，好似寫呢個。
係啊，
係紅，佢嗰隻紅唔同嗰隻紅啫嘛。係紅色。
So I'm gonna divide my painting into 3 sections. 1, 2, 3. So sky, mountains, and green.
Oh, okay. 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
我哋係咪用嗰張大畫紙啊？
你用一半就得㗎啦。
用硬嗰個就得啦。
硬嗰個有大有細嘅。
係啊，用大細都冇問題啊，硬啲嘅得啦，縮水啊嘛。
我大細都冇問題嘅。
係啦，寫大張同細張啲。
And I have blue, yellow, and red in my palette.
Blue.
Yes, blue. Sorry. So I have yellow, blue, and red in my palette. The first color I am going to mix is yellow. So I'm gonna use a flat brush like this. Use the biggest, the largest one you have. And I'm going to paint my first third, so this section. It is going to be light yellow here, darker yellow, orange, and then blue. So you can wait a few seconds for me to get started if you want to see if you want to see on the paper what you want at the end. So I am going to start with light yellow. So I'm gonna get a little bit of so I have my yellow here, and I add a little bit of white, very light yellow, almost white. And I divide 1, 2, 3. So at the bottom of my first section, I put this color, like a kind of a circle. I'm gonna do this step quickly so my paint doesn't dry, but you can take longer. So I have light yellow, I add more yellow. Now it's a little bit darker, and I do the next section. I am going to repeat this after I'm done, so you don't get lost, because I need to do this fast. So I now added more yellow and a drop of red, and I go into the next color or the next area. So I'm gonna repeat myself. So yellow and white, mostly yellow, and then yellow and red. And I'm doing it quickly so my paint doesn't dry and I can combine the colors.
Thank you for the entertainment. That's nice music.
It doesn't have to be perfect. You want to see the transition in the colors. So I'm gonna do one last step, and then I will wait for you to catch up, and also I am going to repeat myself. So if you missed a step, I can go over it. So the last color here, so a little bit more orange. You can look at the picture you took to see the reference. Sorry. And my last color, I am gonna wipe my brush and I'm gonna grab a little bit of blue. So I don't want too much yellow in here. And I'm just grabbing blue. And just the edges. And I'm adding, I'll repeat this because I'm sure you're not there yet, but I'm just adding a little bit of red to the blue here so it's more purplish. So I am going from light yellow to yellow, then orange, and then dark orange, and then purplish. So if you do it fast, you don't need to spend too much time putting the paint on the paper, because if you spend too much time, it dries and it doesn't blend as nicely. You can go back and forth with your colors. So here I want to go back to my orange again, add a few more orangey colors here. And more yellow. And more light yellow. And more really, really light yellow, almost white in the center.
You have gear.
Okay, I'm gonna wait for you here. So, and I'm going to review my steps here once I finish this section here. Make sure the center is quite light so your eye captures that light and thinks it's the sun. I think I run out of yellow. Just adding more yellow here to the section to make it brighter. Very light strokes, left to right. In the center, they can be more of a circle, a circular motion. Okay, so I will wait for you. I'm going to repeat what I did. It sounds a little bit complicated because there are a lot of colors and we have to do it fast, but it's really actually very simple. We start light to dark. The center, almost white, but with a little bit of yellow. The second, so a little circle here. The second circle here, mostly yellow. The third semicircle here would be orange. The fourth one, so red and yellow, gives me orange, but notice it's a light orange. The third one is a darker orange, so I just add more yellow to more red to make it darker, a darker orange. And then at the end, I just used red and blue, a little bit of red and more blue to make this color. You can go back and forth, fixing the colors that you need to fix. And we'll wait for this part to dry before continuing. Make sure you see the difference. If this color is too similar to this one, you need to make either this one lighter or this one darker. If they're too close, too similar, it won't look as nice. If you have a little bit of a orange or yellow, leave it. We're gonna, in your palette, we're gonna use it in just a bit.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you need to wet your brush every now and then?
Not at this point. With acrylic, with water, no. No, it makes the paint a little bit more runny. You can try if you want, but I want a thick layer on my canvas or my paper. So I usually don't at this point, but if you feel that you're running out of paint, it's quite dry. If this is my glass of water, I just quickly dip it in and out, and that's it. That's all the water I need. I put it in my palette and continue painting.
All right, thanks.
No worries. So yeah, you can try that if you feel the paint is not running smoothly. I'm just using a lot of paint. Anytime I grab paint, I grabbed a lot, and I was able to spread it out more easily. If you're having trouble, you can grab more paint anytime on your brush. Load your brush with a lot of paint, or just dip your brush in the water really quick, and that will make things run a little bit better. If you are almost done, we can let the painting dry for about 1 or 2 minutes or so. if it's dry, I'm gonna start with the next step so you can see what the finished step looks like, and then you can do it. So what I will do for my next step, I'm just gonna, if I'm here in this lighter section, I'm gonna grab a darker color. So the next one here. So I'm gonna grab this darker color and paint clouds over here. If I'm painting clouds here, I'm gonna grab the next color. So one step darker for my clouds. So let's start actually with this section. So I want an orange that is a little bit darker than this. So I'm gonna mix red and yellow gives me orange. I always have a little, so in this case, I have a piece of tape here, but you can use another section of your canvas or even your palette to test the color. So I think I got it. So I compare my color to the one I have. So sometimes I use it. I even do the canvas itself. And for this section, make sure you have a flat brush, and we're just gonna draw little clouds here at the front. Maybe that's a little bit darker. So I'm just gonna add more yellow and a drop of white. And I'm actually going to change my brush to a very flat one. Let me show you here. So this is quite flat. It's easier. This was a bit round at the end. So I'm going to use the flat brush to draw my clouds. For the clouds, you don't need that much paint on the brush. I just put it on the tip of my brush on the end. And I don't apply too much pressure, very light strokes, and I'm just doing little circles with my brush. So now that I'm almost ready to go to this next step up here, if you notice, so here it looks darker, my orange looks darker than the sky, but here it looks the same. So I need to make it even darker. So again, here my clouds look different from the background from the sky. That's what I want. Here it's the same color, so I need to make it darker. I'm gonna add more red. And remember how the first class we talked about the color wheel and how to add the opposite color to make it darker? So you have two options here. You can add a drop of black to make the orange darker, or you can add the opposite color, which is blue. blue is the opposite of orange. But I'm very careful. I put it on the side and slowly start adding because I don't want to change my color too much. I still want to have an orange. And I tested, so that was my first color. I think they are similar. Let me see. Yeah, so I like this tone, and I continue drawing clouds. So pay attention on how I draw. I don't go left to right. Clouds have that fluffy texture, so I just move my brush in very quick strokes and short strokes, and that gives me that fluffy texture. And you take your time drawing your clouds. You don't need too many. I'm gonna go ahead with the next one, the next color, so you can look at the entire step, and I'll repeat it after. So I have that orange here. Now I'm gonna add lots of blue and red, and I get a very dark purple. I'm gonna use this dark purple to draw the clouds that are here at the top. So those are my clouds. So I'll give you time to catch up. Take your time. I'm going to repeat the process if you're just getting started. So my first step was looking at the color of my background, and I want to make the clouds darker, just a little bit darker. So for this section, I grabbed the color that I put here at the top. For the second section, I grabbed the color that I picked here on the third step. For the third step, I grabbed the color purple-ish, and I'm drawing that at the top. So I'll give you a few minutes to catch up. Once you're done, you can draw the sun, which is just white. A white circle right here. We'll do that together in a few minutes. I'm gonna wash my brush. Always, especially when drawing very small detail and things like the clouds, Sometimes we focus too much on one specific cloud, then when we take a step back and look at it again, maybe it was too dark, too big. So always remember to take a step back from your painting and look at the entire picture, not just at that very small detail. Because it's happened to me where I'm so focused on the detail, then when I look back, whatever I was drawing was not the correct color or shape. So make sure you take a second to take a step back, or sometimes I even use a mirror and look at my painting through the mirror. So my brain looks at it in a different way. And that's how I'm able to look at things or notice things that maybe I could change or make better. And so again, to make my darker orange, you can add just a tiny drop of black. Or my favorite way of making colors darker is just adding the opposite of the color wheel. So let me show you a color wheel really quick. So any color wheel, you see that we have orange, we want to make it darker. The opposite of the wheel would be blue. So when I add just a tiny drop of blue, it will still remain orange, but it will look darker. I like it better than just adding black because the color remains intense. And now let's draw our sun. So after you're done with your clouds, you just grab white. So I'm just grabbing, maybe I'll grab a smaller brush. I just grab white. And again, if you're not confident drawing circles, start small and then you can make it bigger. I'm making a few strokes towards the side.
弄这里，我弄一些，让你一直弄那些。
Excellent. Excellent.
我弄一个你就踩到一个，我弄这个呀，然后让你踩呀。
Anton Avenue. Anton Avenue. Anton Avenue. Anton Avenue. Most of the details and wrote them correctly. Most of the details.
Perfect. So draw your sun. Start with a smaller circle, and then you can make it bigger. Once I'm running out of paint, I just do this very lightly to make these areas a little bit lighter with my white. And once you're done, we will start with the mountains. So I'm gonna get started with the mountains with the first step. You can take your time finishing your sky. I think it would be easier if you see first what I will draw, or once I'm finished with the step. For our mountains, we'll use blue. So with my first color, remember, anytime you look at a landscape, what is farther away is lighter. As it gets closer, it gets darker. So I'm gonna start with the mountains that are the farthest away, and we're gonna draw them with a medium to light blue. So I'm just getting my blue. I'll draw it over here. Sorry. And I am going to add white.
戴琪，不要出去，外面零下15度，不要带他。啊，不要带他出去了，外面零下15度了，可冷了。
My blue is too bright, so to tone it down, I can add the opposite of blue, which is orange. So to add orange, I'm just adding, and I'm gonna repeat this. I'm adding a drop of red and a drop of yellow. So I'm adding blue, white, a drop of red, a drop of yellow. I'm gonna repeat that. I have my blue, which is dark. I added white, and now my color is too bright, too strong. So to tone it down, I need to add orange. So I put a drop of blue, sorry, a drop of red and a drop of yellow. and then I mix it.
你这样我挂住的二盲片。
走，那我们去楼上玩去。
I'm gonna test it. That's too dark. I'm gonna add white. So make sure you are checking your colors before you put them on the canvas, because it may look different here than on paper. So I'm gonna add more white to the blue I already have. It depends on the kind of blue. Mine is darker, so I need to add more white. And I'm just, remember, I'm adding a drop of red and a drop of yellow. I like that color. So you see I started all the way here. I add more white, still too bright, so I add more orange, tones it down. I'm gonna start drawing the mountains. So if you left any spaces here, you want to make sure you cover that white space. I'm gonna dip my brush into the water just once, so my paint is it runs a little bit better. I think I'm gonna make that color a little bit lighter. And we're just drawing the top for now. I am going to have about 3, maybe 4 shades of blue. So the one I just did is light. If you have light blue left, leave it on the side. I'm gonna wipe my brush, and I'm going to mix a darker blue now. So I grab my blue. If you have orange left from your sky, you can grab a little bit of orange and mix it with your blue. If you don't have any, just add. I'm gonna put it on the side so you can see here. So I'm gonna mix these 3 colors. Blue, a little bit of red, a little bit of yellow. That gives me a darker, less bright blue. And I test it here. It's too dark for now, so I'm gonna add white. So I want to see the difference between my previous color and this new one. This new color, we're gonna draw a big mountain here. Let me see if it's too close. Maybe we can make it a little bit darker. So I'm just adding orange. So make sure this new blue, this is blue number 2, is darker than our last one. Just a bit darker that you can see the difference between the 2 colors. I'm just adding a little bit of white to make it a little bit lighter. My paint's still fresh or still wet, so the colors mix nicely. going to draw another mountain over here. Notice this one goes in front. And I'm just dipping my brush into the water very quickly so my paint runs a little bit more smoothly. I don't need too much paint here, or thick. I don't need thick layers here. Make sure your lines are not straight for the mountains. They never are straight. And my right side of this mountain is a little bit darker. As I am going to the left, I am going to add a touch of white here, or that lighter blue you had before. That is our second mountain. So look at the color and think, am I saying a light blue, a medium blue, or a dark blue? If you see that you need a lighter blue, just add white. If you see that you need a darker blue, you can add 1 drop of black, or you can add orange to make it darker. The darkest blue will be a little bit darker than this one, just a tiny bit. So we have 1, 2, 3 blues right now. We'll make 1 darker and 1 a little bit lighter than this one. So I'm going to finish with the color I have right now. It is, sorry, actually, I'll just draw. Actually, I'll let you catch up and then we're gonna go to a light blue. So I am going to mix a light blue. So I'm just adding white to the blue. My lightest blue was this one, my first blue. So I'm just adding white. And I want to test it. So I think my light blue was this one. I just put it on the side. It looks lighter. So this, I'm going to draw a little bit of light from the sun. Where the sun starts, I make a triangle here. It covers this area here. So you see this color, I don't know if the camera is able to pick it up. It's just a little bit lighter than this one. If you don't see the difference, then add a drop of white. And I dip my brush into water and into my palette here. So you see how I changed the color of this mountain here to show that light is coming from the back. So I am going to repeat this last step. So I have this color and I add white. If I see the difference between my two colors here, then I paint kind of a triangle right here from the sun to indicate light. And as I go further down, I am going to start adding more white. This will get covered later, but so now I have 4 blues. I'm gonna go from lightest to darker. 1, 2, 3, 4. These are very close, but I want you to make sure you can see this line right here, showing that this mountain is in front of this one. And I'm gonna try to go back to this color, number 4. I'm gonna mix this color again to draw a big mountain here. You can take your time mixing the colors. I think it's easier for you if I am one step ahead so you know what you wanna end up with. So again, I am trying to mix a dark blue again. I think that's very, very close. And I add a little bit of 1 or 2 drops of water to my paint so it's a little bit smoother when I paint. So this mountain starts here, goes down here. For this blue, make sure you mix quite a bit because we're going to use a lot. So again, I added a bit of water to my paint, just a little bit of water so it runs a bit more smoothly, just because here I don't need a thick layer. It's just the one shadow. And I'm just adding a little bit of white to my color, and putting it at the bottom, like the valleys of the mountains. Don't worry too much about this section. It's going to be covered, but I do want to make it a little bit lighter at the bottom. So I added a little bit of white to the color I have, and I'm just adding it mostly to the bottom of my mountains that are closer here. Notice that here there's a little dark line here of a mountain that is in front. Doesn't have to be all the way through here. And the last mountain I need to draw is right here. So part of it is darker, and then once it touches the sunlight here, it's just a little bit lighter. So I want to mix a color similar to this one to draw this part, and I want to mix a color similar to this one to draw the section that is under the light. So my current color is this one. I need to get here just a little bit lighter. So I want to test. There is very light. I'm adding orange to my blue so it's not as bright. I tested here. So you see it's very dark. In my palette it looks lighter, but once I put it next to the painting it looks quite darker. So I'm going to add more white. That looks closer. Let's see. And now I'm adding white. For this section right here. So it's the same mountain, but it looks a little bit lighter just because it is under that sunlight.
有没有喜欢？不准上。
So, I'm just adding a little bit of this blue, but a tiny bit lighter at the bottom here. So I want you to pay very close attention to where you see darks or lighter blues. Just because I paint this section a darker blue doesn't mean the entire mountain is that darker blue. If you see here, the top is, and even if you look at the picture, the one you took, the top is darker. As it goes down, it gets a little bit lighter. So try to do that. I think we're gonna finish this class with the mountains, and then we'll do the bottom next class, so we're not rushing and the entire painting looks nice. I'm gonna connect this valley right here with light blue. And those are our mountains for now. Look at the picture, your reference photo, and see which areas maybe need to be darker or lighter. I'm just gonna draw another light mountain at the back here. Very, very light. Just because I have a lot of white, I don't want to waste. So I'm just gonna draw another mountain back here. And I'm also going to see which areas need to be a little bit lighter. So maybe this area under the sun can be lighter. So really take your time. You don't have to do exactly what I'm doing. Just look at your painting. Maybe you don't need to fix the same areas that I need to fix. And the best paintings that or my favorite paintings are the ones that I spent more time mixing the color than actually painting or putting the color on the canvas. Just because your eye will really see the value of the color, or will understand that is a mountain or that is a landscape, not because it's blue or this is red, but because of the values. So value means how dark or how light things are. So again, if we show that the back here is lighter and the front here, it gives the illusion that these mountains are closer. So remember to spend a lot of time mixing the color until you're happy. And once I'm happy here on the palette, I need to test it next to the painting. You can be right next to on your palette, but right next to the painting right here. And I know, oh, it's too light or too dark. Or it can be on an area. I usually just have a piece of tape and then just put it on there. And I'm just adding a little bit of white to the top of my mountains at the back here, and making sure the edge is nice and like it's a crisp edge, is not blurry, but like a line. I'm gonna make this valley at the bottom here lighter. Take a step back, look at your painting. Look at your picture, the reference photo you took. Okay, I think I'm happy with my mountains. And I'll give you a few minutes just to finish up this section, and then we will finish this painting next class. Make sure you have your water, your flat brush, and the first thing we're going to mix is a medium green. We're gonna actually mix a dark green, sorry, for the trees first. So let's get the blue and the yellow on our palette. So I'm going to show you here. You can use, I like to use this ultramarine blue and mix as well, but if you have any blue, that's fine. If you have a light blue, you may need to add a little bit of red to make it darker. Or if you have the green, you will need to make it a little bit darker, so you can add a little bit of black or a little bit of red.
Okay.
So I'm gonna mix my green first so you can see what color we will like. So my first two colors I will be using today.
Blue and yellow.
Blue and yellow.
Blue and yellow.
And I'm gonna mix them. So I start just grabbing a little bit and a little bit and see what comes up. I like this green, but I want a darker green first. So I'm gonna add more blue. And I'm gonna add a drop of red. Okay, I will show you right here. So just a tiny, tiny drop of red here. And I continue to add a little bit of each color until I get the color I want. More red, more blue, more yellow. If you see your color is too yellow, then you add the other two colors, but be careful with the red. You don't want it to become purple. If you are using your own green already mixed, then just add a little bit of red. I'm just adding more. And as always, I like to test the color. You can test it on your palette, put it side to side. I have this little canvas at the back. Sorry, that doesn't show. Let me show you here. There we go. So I tested my color here. I like it, but I think it could be a tiny bit darker. So I just add more red. If maybe I put too much red, then I add the other two colors. Remember, as I always tell you, I spend more time mixing the colors than actually painting, because it doesn't matter what, like how you put the paint, your brush strokes, they don't matter as much as the right value. Okay, I think that's dark enough. So what I will do is I will start drawing trees. And the trees, oh sorry. And the trees will go just covering this mountain right here. I want to do quite a few strokes. 1 tree. I'm gonna make my green a little bit darker.
Mm. 老师讲，如果你的青色不够深，你可以加一点点红色，它就会比较深了。
I added quite a bit of red this time. And so now that I put them side to side, you see the difference. So here, my green looks very dark because the background is white. But here, my green looks very light because my background is dark already. So I wanna make sure this is quite a bit darker. So let's add a little bit of black to our green. So I'm gonna show you. So I already have a opaque green because I added red, but I want to make sure it's even darker. So I'm gonna mix more here because I think I'm gonna need quite a bit. So blue and yellow gives me green, a drop of red so it's not so bright. And now I want to add a drop. You see how much I add initially? Just a drop, because sometimes the color you're adding can be too strong, so it's better to add just a tiny bit. So my reference picture, these trees are greenish, but they're very dark, almost black. So I'm gonna test it right here. I can see the tree now, maybe a little bit darker. Very dark green. So again, if you were not here last class, you can do this section we're doing right now. It's always good practice to paint trees and mix colors. And then you can do the entire painting later if you want. It will be on YouTube. So look at how I do the brush strokes. I dab, dab, dab. I'm not just painting a line. I just touch the canvas quickly with firm pressure. It's better to mix enough paint or mix quite a bit here because we will use quite a bit for the trees. You don't want to be mixing every 2 minutes because it will look different. On the sides here, my trees will be taller. As I go to the center, they are smaller. Here my trees will be small. Again, whenever you're drawing or painting nature, don't make everything equal. So my mountains, every mountain is different from the previous one. My trees, they are, so some are taller, fluffier, because nothing is symmetrical in nature. Or when we drew the tree last year, the trunk and the branches were all irregular, asymmetrical lines. So that's what you want. I'm just gonna move my camera a tiny bit. If you have to mix more paint, try to make sure the color is the same as the one you just used. So I mixed a little bit more and I like to test it on areas that I already painted to make sure we are close. Equal.
唔係啊，我唔小心咋，得閒我先整翻佢，我而家唔得閒，唔得閒啦嚇，唔得閒。
And here on the side, on the right side, there is a big tree. There we can see a little bit more detail. This side will be horizontal. So I'm gonna start with horizontal lines here. And they are bigger and bigger as I go down. So I am going to switch brushes to a smaller one. So I'm just gonna remember every time you're done with a color or with a brush, clean it so paint doesn't dry. So I wipe it off first so my water remains cleaner for longer. Move the excess paint and then into the water. So you can take your time doing this color. I am going to do the next color so you are able to see the shapes a little bit better. Or if you're already done with this one, you can start working with me on the next step. So I want to add a little bit of highlights on these trees so they don't look so flat. So this is the color I was using. I'm going to add more yellow, just a little bit. It gives me a lighter green. And I go, so I think, where is the light coming from? Where is the light hitting the trees? So on the left side of the painting is on the right side of the trees. So just a few details at the top here and there. And on the right side of the painting, the light comes from the left. So my highlight or my lighter green will be towards the left side. If you have a smaller brush, you can even use a smaller one. So I'm doing a little bit of highlights here and there. Sometimes I like to squint my eyes so my vision is a little bit blurry and I can see the spikes of light green and I can notice where it's missing a little bit. And I'm adding more trees behind the black ones. So just a few strokes at the back here and there. So the color difference is very subtle, but you should be able to see it. I'm gonna bring my camera closer. So you see I did the light green mostly at the top. A few come farther down. If I'm doing the left side of the painting, the light is here, it hits the right side. If I'm doing the right side of the painting, the light is to the left, it hits the left side of the tree. And after you're done with this highlight, we'll go to this step and then we'll see if we need more highlights on the trees or not. So for the next color, I will use the same brush, or actually, let me see. So you want a flat brush, but that has a rounder tip. So this, I'm gonna use this one. So it's flat, but the tip is round. I'm gonna clean the one I'm not gonna use anymore. So if you're happy with your trees, your two colors, we're gonna start with our next color. So this tomato is more of a yellow green. So I'm gonna mix a new color. This is already dry, but if you still have a little bit of this lighter green, you can continue to use it. So I wanna use green, yellow. If you have this green, it's very nice too. So I'm just gonna show you here. You can use it too. And you just add more yellow. So our first color will be, sorry, this is the green. that comes with the some packages. So you just add yellow. If you don't have that green, then we're gonna mix it with blue and yellow. It's too bright. Then a drop of red. This is now a very green. I need a yellow green. So I'm adding a lot more yellow. So again, for our next color, blue and lots of yellow, 1 drop of red. And now let me see if that works. So this is a nice color. I like it. I'm gonna use it. But I also want a very, so this is the color, this one right here. I like it, but I also want a very yellow green. So I'm gonna have 2 colors on my palette. So I don't know if you're able to pick it up, but so these are my 2 colors. Actually, I think I want even more yellow. So I have a green and a yellow green. And we're gonna go back and forth with the same brush. You don't have to clean it so much in between the 2 colors. So I'm gonna start, so you see here, a very yellow green and a green. I'm gonna start with the yellow. And we're gonna start underneath the trees. The way I paint this section, I'm not gonna do brush strokes. I'm just gonna dab, okay? And you want a little bit of imperfections, because if I'm able to see the brush strokes, they look like a meadow a little bit more than if I do just left to right. So as we were doing our trees, we tap. And we're gonna start with the just underneath our trees. If you are running out of paint on your brush, that's okay. You can go up here. If you have lots of paint on your brush, start further down. As I am running out of paint, I go higher. And you see that even the colors on my brush are not evenly mixed. That's okay. That gives it a nice effect. Now I'm going to grab my green, the medium green, not the yellow green, but medium. I'm gonna do the same just underneath. If it mixes with the other color, it looks good. Make sure you're dabbing. I know if you just paint like this, it will be faster, but then it will really look flat. You don't want that. And there's, I think, a little bush over here. If your green is too bright, that it doesn't look like a leaf or a green from a tree, just add more red. Just a tiny bit, or yellow. So I'm gonna go with the next step before my paint dries, but you take your time with this color. So I'm just adding a little bit of red to the green I have to make it darker. So I just added red to the green. And let's see if this is the color I want. Yep, nice and dark. Same thing, just a few brush strokes here and there. So I'm just adding a darker green, just a little bit here and there. Now you can keep working on the green, whatever green you are right now. It's just easier for you to see a completed picture, I think. So I'm just gonna keep going. So I started just below the trees, and as I go down, it gets darker. And now I'm mixing a kind of a medium green, not too dark, not too light. And this is going to be kind of the main color here. Just continue dabbing. I am going to flip my picture so it's easier for me to paint. So I'm just gonna get the camera fixed up. It's just at the bottom here that I'm having trouble. There we go. So same thing, dab, 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 dab. You see how rough it looks? If you look very closely, you can see the brush strokes. That's what you want. Oh, sorry. Sorry, let me just secure here at the top. There we go. So I want it to continue looking very rough. And I just add a tiny bit of yellow, but I don't mix it completely. You can see the yellow and the green separately. I grab it like that with my brush. And then once I dab, sometimes it will look more yellow, sometimes it will look more green. Okay, I can flip it now again. So I'm gonna add a bit more yellow around. So just here and there, maybe yellow with a tiny, tiny drop of red. Remember to take a second to stop and take a step back. Look at your picture. Maybe squint your eyes so it looks a little bit blurry, and you see the light of the sun coming to the trees and the meadow. Maybe you see that it's too dark or the entire color is very similar. Maybe you need to add lighter green or darker green. Just always take a second to step back and look at the picture. So I want to add kind of a more yellow, but I want it to look a tiny bit orangey. So this is the yellow I'm using. I just add red, maybe more yellow even. So it's not so bright, but more orangey. Yeah, and just add it wherever I feel I need it. Maybe this little bush or bush here. It has a little bit more highlights. Good. So I'm just going to repeat what I'm doing right now. I took a step back, look at what needs more light, more darks. So I decided I wanted a little bit more yellow, but the yellow I'm using is not so bright. So I just added a tiny bit of red here and there, and green of what you can also try is if you have two colors. Oh, sorry, I can't see my screen. There we go. If you have two colors, maybe load the green first on your brush, green first, and then on the tip, you add a little bit more yellow on just on the tip, just like that. So whenever you are painting, you will get both colors, just depending on how much pressure you're putting on the brush. Don't forget your little bush here. And we'll let that dry. I'll give you one more minute to finish up your meadow. So it doesn't really have to be perfect. So if I really look closely to my canvas, I step back, the eye thinks it's green, it's a meadow. So don't worry too much about it. This section being perfect. And if you have a little bit of green left, we can maybe add a few more highlights to the trees at the back. Just remember it's not, so it's, you see the difference, but it's not way too light. Let me show you. So as always, I like to test my color first. I think it's close enough. I'm just letting this front color dry because there's a few flowers that we're gonna paint. I'm just gonna add dark or almost black here just to define a bit more my trees under the meadow or behind. Just a few strokes here and there. So I'm just using dark, black and green, just adding a few touch-up colors here and there. And then if you're done with this color, you're gonna clean or wipe your brush. The next color we're going to use needs a long and small brush. So the next thing we're going to do, it's better if you let this dry. So we're going to draw a few flowers. Sorry. A few flowers. So we're gonna use a light green first. So I am going to add a little bit of white to my palette. So I'm just adding white. And I am going to mix a lighter green, just a tiny bit lighter than this one. So this is the one I was using. If you have some left, use it. If not, mix your green again. And I add a drop of white first to see how much it changes. I can add more, maybe a little bit of yellow. So make sure you have a pointy brush, it's easier. And I'm putting the paint just on the tip. I don't need to put paint down here. I'm gonna test. It could be lighter, so I am going to add more white and more yellow. Let's see if this is light enough. Yep. I'm just gonna be holding my canvas because it's easier for me. At the bottom here. So what I will be doing is just tiny stems like this. Maybe we can add a little bit of water to the paint so it's a little bit runny. Sorry. Just gonna grab a smaller brush. Make sure that you have lots of paint in your brush. So long lines going up and curved lines. Okay, so the idea is that you get a little bit of a sense of highlight going up right here. You don't need to fill it out, just a few here and there. And we're then going to paint the flowers. So I am going to clean my brush. So for flowers, we will use an orange, light orange. So to mix orange, I use my red and yellow. And I'm gonna add white. If you have an orange already mixed, you can use that one, of course. So I make a stem down and little dots around. I can even grab one of the ones I already have. So I have this line already, so I'm just gonna finish it off with the flower. We're not gonna paint too many, just a few here and there. So a line and 3 dots on each side, maybe one at the top. If you're having trouble, maybe your brush is too big. I think that's enough flowers. But you can draw or paint more if you'd like. As many as you will like. And then at the top of these flowers, there's a little bit of a blue petal, I guess. So I'm gonna wipe my orange and we're gonna add blue. So I have blue, it's kind of a lighter blue, so I'm adding just white. So it looks like at the top, there's this little blue color. So we're just gonna add that to our flowers. So I'm just doing like 3 lines or 3 dots. And then after that blue, there's an even lighter blue, so I'm just adding white. And then I'm gonna do it on top. Again, you can draw as many flowers as you will like. And whichever colors you will like. Just seeing the picture and they look orange and blue. I'm just gonna add a little bit of yellow to this orangey color. It looked too red. Just a tiny, tiny bit. So with this color, which is like a gold color, which I made with red and yellow and a drop of blue. So again, red, yellow, and a tiny, tiny drop of blue. It gives me this darker yellow. I'm just adding a few highlights here and there. And we're almost done. So I have a lighter green again, adding a few more of those stems at the front. Okay, I'll give you 1 more minute to finish your flowers, and then we'll do the final touch of this painting, and then we'll sign and date it. Just gonna lower the camera a bit. So I am wiping my, I am cleaning my brush. So the last thing we're going to do for a final step is add a little bit of highlights. So I am going to grab just pure white and a flat dry brush. If the one you have is already wet, make sure you just dry it with a paper towel. Sorry, let me find mine. So mine was wet, so I'm making sure I dry it as much as I can. And I want a flat brush like this. You can use a smaller one, maybe better. And we are just going to grab white, but we're going to make sure it's not too much. So what I can do is it's just pure white, just on the tip. And I can maybe dab it on my paper towel. So it's just a little bit. And then we're gonna draw light beams from the sun going pretty much all around. So the key is to have very little paint on your brush. Oh, sorry, that was too much. Let me just fix that. So you see why it's important to get the excess off, just because it can be too much sometimes. Actually, let me grab a smaller brush so it may be easier for me. I'm just gonna grab this one. And I'm going to use my scrap canvas just to get the paint off as much as I can. And once I just have a little bit left, that's when I gonna see if this works. Yeah. I'm grabbing the wrong color. Make sure your lines are very straight. dab your brush into the water and then grab the paint. So it's more translucent, like here. So again, put your brush into the water and then grab the paint with just the tip of the brush. If you think it's too much, just paint the center because it's already all white. And then that's when you drag it out. So all my lines point towards the sun. Okay, and that is my painting. Now let's clean your brushes and let's sign and date it. You remember you can always use any color to sign. I like to use any color from the painting usually. I think I'm gonna sign it with orange. Sorry, I'm just folding the canvas. Okay, and that is our painting. So this took the entire 2 classes, but so longer than what I expected, but I think it was worth it. It's a very nice painting. So make sure you sign yours. And then once you're done, sorry, I'm just trying to get the camera to show it a little bit better. Yeah, so sign it. Don't forget these like rays of sunlight. I think they are the key for this painting, and you can show us once you're done. Oh wow, that's very nice, Ying. Patina, that's beautiful. Wow, that looks really great. That looks very nice, Ying. Jenny, wow, that's very nice. Look at your greens, Lucy. Oh wow, Lisa, I love your flowers. That's very nice. Angela, that's beautiful.
Thank
I
you so
love
much.
your sky.
I like a pink color flower.
Stella.
Very like a pink.
Kathy, I think I only see your sky. Oh, perfect. That's beautiful. Oh, wow. That's very nice. Kathy, Charlotte, Louise. Wow, that's very nice. Veronica, that's beautiful. Clara. Sorry, I'm trying to see everyone and say everyone's names.